Rio, one of my favorite movies of all time. Rio 2, not as amazing as the first, but still a very solid movie in my opinion. Rio 3? Hey, wait a minute, that didn't happen. So thanks to Jonah, who I'll link his video in the description, I was able to find out that Rio 3 was a thing, along with Ice Age 6 and 7, and when I first heard this, I was completely flabbergasted. Like, how could they be doing Rio 3? I mean, the Walt Disney Company is known for being very greedy, but bringing in old studios franchises back from the dead after you shut down the studio and just making new movies that are less good quality is just simply heinous. But because I like to get views and money, even though I'm not at 1,000 subscribers yet, please help, I'm going to make a video about how I think a Rio 3 would work. The plot, the characters, all that stuff. And so this is my take on how I think a movie like this could potentially work in the real life. First off, the story. So what would the story of Rio 3 be? Well, the plot of this movie would be is that it takes place after the second film, obviously. They're still in the Amazon, and Blue finds out thanks to Linda that he has a brother that he never knew about, a long lost brother, if you will. So him, Jewel, the three kids, their friends, Nico, Pedro, and Raphael, and Jules' father, Andy Garcia. I know he has a name, but I call him Andy Garcia because it wasn't that memorable of a character in the second film, and so he won't appear that much in this film, even though he's going on the trip with them. Along with Linda and Tulia, would all go back to Minnesota in order to meet again with Blue. But, spoiler alert, even though you've never seen the film yet, but this is just my plan for it. Blue's long lost brother, I haven't thought of a good name for him yet. Can you think of a name in the comments? That would be greatly appreciated. Is that he would be a genetically enhanced blue macaw that has been experimented on, and is willing to enact revenge on Blue for forgetting about him for all these years, even though Blue was just small. But villains cannot be sensible in animated kids films, can they? Actually, this is the kicker with this. I don't want this to be, for young audiences. I want to try go for a bit of a darker thing with this, but I still want it to be lighthearted enough as it is still Rio. So there will be a side plot where Nico, Pedro, and Raphael are trying to find talent in Minnesota, but they find out very quickly that the tastes of music there are very different than in Rio. So they have to try and enact the help of some locals in order to try and find their taste in music, which would be very hard for them. I think that would be a very good idea for a side plot, while the main plot is with Blue, Jewel, the Blue Macaws. And Nigel would be gone from this film. I don't think Nigel should be the villain of this one, because I feel like Nigel's had his arc. He didn't like Blue in the first because he was one of the Blue Macaws that escaped from his owner's clutches, and he also he was on with the fly thanks to Blue. And then in the second film, wanted to enact his revenge, but it blew up in his face, literally, and he now lives in Rio in captivity with the Pink Frog. So I think that would be the end of his existence of the character. Also, I think Jermaine Clement has better stuff to be in, like I don't know, Moana, the live action remake. Yeah, like anyone will watch that. Anyway, next up would be the animation. My idea for the animation is actually really unique. So it will be a combination of two different styles. One style would be a very art book like style, and something similar to Spider-Verse or TMNT Mutant Mayhem. That would be the style when they're in Rio, and then when they're in Minnesota, there will be a more typical style, except something more in the style of like Nimona. Like it was going for a 2D, 3D look, kind of like the other two I mentioned, except moves a lot more smoothly, and it looks more like the original version of Nimona. that was being made. The one that had, lighting, something that this didn't have. I mean, it had lighting, but it wasn't very good lighting, I must say that. Mm. Anyway, so yeah, two different styles for two different locations. I think that would definitely be very hard to make, but I feel like it's doable. I mean, Across the Spider Verse did it in 2023. Why can this movie do in like 2026 or something? I don't know. I think the two animation styles would definitely be very cool to look at, and the way they would be combined is if there's like a scene on the phone where one person is calling from Rio, and then the person on the other end of the line is in Minnesota, and then there will be the two different animation styles split in between a line, so they would have enough space to show each one. The smooth style in Minnesota, and the more lower frame artistic style in Rio. I think that would be really appealing, and definitely keep the experimental animation style that's been going on in the past couple of years thanks to Spider Verse. And next up, characters. So there would be a lot of returning characters and new characters in this Rio 3, in this my hypothetical Rio 3. Of course, there would be the returning characters, Blue, Jewel, their kids. I think I can remember the names, but I'm not going to botch them. Then there would be Nico, Pedro, Rafael, and Andy Garcia, and then Tulio and uh, Linda, and then there would also be Linda's mother, whom she was talking on the phone to in the first film, but we never actually saw her, so we can find out what she looks like. And obviously, a very important brand new character would be Blue's long lost brother. Again, names in the comments. So, he would definitely look very similar to Blue at the beginning when he's first introduced. But then as the film goes on, he gets more and more distorted as he's experimented on more and more, eventually becoming too powerful for even the scientists to handle. And of course, he will keep this a secret to them. But similar to Invincible, they would give clues to his brother's true intentions, and eventually it will be revealed that he is a villain, but not just completely out of the blue, like snap, just dash. They will have clues that would indicate that he may be up to something sneaky, but a lot of animated movies don't get that idea and just simply just shock. Twist villains are just there to shock you instead of actually giving a good idea of that the person that they're with cannot be trusted. There's a difference between a twist villain you don't expect and a twist villain you don't expect, but there's no build up and it's just out of the blue. Like take the sheep from Zootopia. There was no indication that she would be a twist villain, which people use that as an excuse that, oh, you didn't expect it. Well, yeah, I didn't expect it, but I didn't give any clues whatsoever that the sheep could be the main villain. There was no indication of that, and so it doesn't work that way. The only clue that I can think of that they have is that a lot of the sheep is that a lot of like the sheep using the wolf the berries thing. A lot of the scientists there are sheep, so that's the only clue that I can think of that would tie in with the sheep being the villain. But yeah, that's a very good example of a very bad twist villain that has no build up, no clues, and simply just there to be a gotcha to the audience instead of actually building it up and making a good suspenseful last few minutes. Also, I think another big problem that movies have with twist villains, specifically animated movies for kids, is that they're all very like they don't have a lot of screen time to be the twist villain. Like Hans and the sheep only have a few like couple 10 to 15 minutes to be the villain, and then characters like Lotso have a lot of time to be a villain because he was introduced as a twist villain like halfway into Toy Story 3. which gave the characters, which made it very suspenseful about what was going to happen next, and still gave uh good characters a good obstacle to try and get through. And so I think that would suffice with this film as well, where they build up that Blue's long lost brother might be a villain, and then eventually they reveal us, not like at the last few minutes of the movie, maybe like 20 or 30 minutes before the credits roll. I think that would definitely work. So not only does he have a lot of time to be a villain, but it gives good build up as well, and we can respect him as a villain, and also connect with him as well for the things that have happened to him. Anyway, so that's the characters of this film. I'm going to move on to other things, like say music. Now, the other Rio movies, 1 and 2, are known for being, how do I say it, semi-musicals. There are musical numbers, but the problem with the first film, my only problem with the first movie is that they never finish the damn songs. They always keep disrupting them, and it doesn't. I like to listen to the full songs. Thank you, movie. Carlos Saldana, Chris Wedge, everyone who worked on that movie. But they're still banger songs, even if they didn't finish them. The only thing I could think of that in Rio 2 they improved on in the first is that, well, they actually finished the damn songs, so it can be classified more as a musical. But I still consider them to be semi-musicals, as there's more plot than music. So, which is the problem I have with a lot of musicals, is that they focus more on the music than the plot. Like say Mamma Mia, which mainly focused on the music, ABBA songs that have nothing to do with the actual damn film. But anyway, what would the songs be like in this? I don't know. I'm not a songwriter. Yeah, sure, I wrote 2 songs in this channel, but I can't write a whole list of songs that would be, good. What am I? No. Leave that to the professionals. But I think that would definitely be a combination of different songs. And some other things, I would also talk about the rating. I think there should be. I don't know if the other Rio movies were rated PG, or G, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this as like a PG or maybe a PG-13. I want to have this be a little bit darker than a typical Rio movie. Take more risk with this. Include things that wouldn't be included in a Rio movie, like a bit more language or a darker tone, or a bit more, intense violence, action, stuff like that. Stuff that will make it unique from the first 2. And aside from those few other things, there's lots of other things to talk about, like, who would direct it, who would voice act in it, who would be like the voice of Blue's long lost brother. But there's lots of factors into making a movie, and I think voice actors will be a little bit going too far, and plus it's getting late and this video is getting a little bit long. But before I go, I want to address the elephant in the room. I know that this will probably never happen because, as we all know, Disney is very much allergic to creativity. Like every time they make a creative movie, they sneeze out another budget back to cancel another 50 of them. So it's very unlikely that this version of Rio 3 will be made. But if it is, then I will be very impressed. I don't know who will make it though. And there's lots of animation studios to choose from because Blue Sky isn't around. But if you can think of a good animation studio that will be suitable to make my version of Rio 3, then put it in the comments below, and then maybe I'll consider it. And I'm not making this, by the way, because I'm not even 18 yet, so I don't even have the skills to make a movie, let alone an animated movie with this scale to it, with these many high number actors in it, like Jesse Eisenberg or Anne Hathaway or whoever will voice Blue's brother. But anyway, aside from that, I hope you enjoyed this analysis on Rio 3. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video for more analysis stuff like this, and the video on the 10th is going to be a long-awaited game video. I'll see you guys then.